to you for years, Greg. Thanks for all you do and keeping us informed.
You sound a little cola on radio.
Dispensing a daily dose of
Great to have you along this
no
morning. Thanks
prescription
for being
required.
here.
Americans love a winner and will not tolerate a loser. Americans play to win all the time. I believe in the no-win system.
Well, good morning, my friend. The marketplace of ideas is open. Welcome to the Greg Belfrage Show. This Wednesday morning, October 2nd today, we had the vice presidential debate last night between Senator J.D. Vance and Governor Tim Walz. And so I want to give you some, first of all, there are several stories over the kind of a rundown. For instance, the Hill's got a piece this morning, best and worst debate moments for Vance and Walz. And then from here, what I'm going to do is give you kind of some of the big moments as characterized in some media pieces this morning, and then we'll start going outward from there in terms of reaction and stories. So let's start with the Hill. Best and worst debate moments for Vance and Walz. Vance, his best moments, challenging the moderators. So he took a pretty aggressive stance with the moderators. In fact, at one point, CBS's Margaret Brennan tried to fact check him, despite the fact that CBS had said, we're not going to be fact checking the candidates, and they did so. And Vance took exception with that. He said, the rules were that you guys weren't going to fact check, he said. And since you're fact checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. And then he continued to speak to the point where they cut his mic. CBS actually cut his mic. By the way, the moderators of this debate are getting low marks from most everyone. What a shock. What an absolute surprise. That CBS, really? I mean, who would have thought CBS? Oh, man. Also, Vance getting high marks for introducing himself to the public. So this is the first time that many are hearing from J.D. Vance at length and speaking. And he talked about his mother, who dealt with drug addiction multiple times throughout the evening. Talked about coming from a working class family. My mother required food assistance for periods in her life. His worst moments were climate change skepticism, according to The Hill. And he expressed skepticism about climate change during the debate, questioning the scientific consensus that climate change is primarily being driven by human activity and largely due to carbon emissions. And what J.D. Vance said was, one of the things I've noticed some of our Democratic friends talking a lot about is a concern about carbon emissions. This idea that carbon emissions drive all the climate change. And he said, let's just say that's true just for the sake of argument, so we're not arguing about weird science. Let's just say that's true. And that's where, Nora O'Donnell's fact-checking Vance. And again, despite the fact that they were saying they wouldn't do that, they did. I don't think that's a surprise. I fully expected them to do exactly that. Also, we talked about, now the Hill tends to be more to the left in their reporting. They're saying Vance was put on the spot over his previous attacks on Haitian migrants in the town of Springfield, Ohio. And then Walz followed up on that. So Walz's best moments, they said, pressing Vance on the 2020 election. This was right near the end of the debate. Wall said this was a threat to our democracy in a way we had not seen, and it manifested itself because of Donald Trump's inability to say, he is still saying he didn't lose the election. And so he turned to Vance, did he lose the 2020 election? And Vance said, Tim, I'm focused on the future. Did Kamala Harris censor Americans from speaking their mind in the wake of the 2020 COVID situation? He said, that is a damning non-answer, Wall said. He also talked about abortion, and again, the Hill saying that's when he was at his best. Wall's worst moments. He was questioned on his past claim that he was in Hong Kong during the 1989 Tiananmen Square student protests in China. And he said he was a knucklehead, and he misspoke when he said that. I try to do the best I can, but I'm not perfect. I'm a knucklehead at times. And then the Hill says he had a windy response from there, detailing his background coming from Nebraska through becoming a member of Congress and then eventually the governor of Minnesota. And he said, I would make the case that Donald Trump should have come on one of those trips with us. So Brennan also then pressed him on explaining his past statement, and he said, I got there that summer and misspoke on this. I will just, that's what I said. He misspeaks a lot. Have you noticed that? Tim Walz does. Walz also had a shaky start, says the Hill. He was jotting down notes. There's a lot of reaction to that on, especially at the beginning of the debate. He was just furiously jotting down notes. The Fox News has got a piece, top 5 clashes between Vance and Walz. And they also note about J.D. Vance fact-checking the fact-checkers, says FoxNews.com. So the CBS debate rules included leaving microphones on for both candidates, no matter who was speaking, but the moderators muted when Vance spoke up to complain that the moderators were trying to fact-check him on his statements regarding illegal immigrants in Springfield. Vance said, the people that I'm most worried about in Springfield are the American citizens who've had their lives destroyed by Kamala Harris' open border. It's a disgrace. And then he took, they were fact-checking him, and he said the rules were that you were not going to fact-check. And since you're fact-checking me, I think it's important to say what's actually going on. So then he went on for a short period of time, and then suddenly you don't hear him. You hear him way off in the background because they cut his mic. So that's one of the big moments. Also, Tim Walz being forced to correct the record on whether he was in China for the Tiananmen Square protests. Look, my community knows who I am. They saw where I was at. I will be the first to tell you I poured my heart into my community. I've tried to do the best I can, but I've not been perfect. I'm a knucklehead at times, he said. So at that point, Brennan reminded him of the question again, asked him to explain the discrepancy. All I said on this was, as I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in, this is not one of Tim Walz's best moments. Are you following this? If you are, you're ahead of me. All I said on this is I got there that summer and misspoke on this. So I will just, that's what I've said. So I was in Hong Kong and China during the democracy protests, went in, and from that, I learned a lot of what needed to be in governance. Again, he's really not addressing the question. Also, there was conversation over abortion laws. They got into it over that. Fox News is saying this is one of the top moments of the debate last night. Also, they sparred over immigration. Vance was talking, and he said, first of all, the gross majority of what we need to do at the southern border is just empowering law enforcement to do their job. And he said, I've been to the southern border more than our borders are. Kamala Harris has been. And it's actually heartbreaking because the Border Patrol agents, they just want to be empowered to do their job. How long have we been talking about that? Years now we've been talking about this. Vance continued by saying additional resources would help, but the issue is mostly that the Biden administration is not empowering law enforcement to say if you try to come across the border illegally, you've got to stay in Mexico. And the Walls repeatedly argued that Trump shut down the Senate immigration bill earlier this year. So it's the same old tired complaints. I mean, seriously, it's the same old tired thing. You know, Donald Trump, it was law enforcement that asked for the bill. They helped craft it. They're the ones that supported it. It was because they know we need to do this. Look, this issue of continuing to bring this up, of not dealing with it, of blaming migrants for everything, Walls said. He said this bill gets it done in 90 days. When have you ever seen a bill get anything done in 90 days? Those were the big moments during the debate. So that's a look at some of the network recaps. There are a number of other stories, and we'll talk about these in more detail. I'm really curious to get your thoughts this morning as to if you watched the debate. I would love to get your thoughts. I asked the same question this morning on Facebook, and for your comments there as well. And I hope to share some of those too. So we'll get to your phone calls coming up this morning. Open up the phone lines. Washington Examiner's got a piece grading the candidates. Vance wins, Walls survives a substantive VP debate. So they're giving they're giving Walls a B minus. This is the Washington Examiner. What grade? And they're giving Vance an A minus. Axios has got a piece this morning, America's Time Machine, takeaways from a refreshingly civil VP debate. And that's the take by many. I think the Post CBS polling afterward, their flash polling afterward, 88% of people appreciated how civil the debate was. New York Post. I love the New York Post. Their headlines, the Walls, W-A-L-Z. W-A-L-Z. The walls are closing in. Tim Walz staggered by cool J.D. Vance, admits I'm a knucklehead during a genial vice presidential debate. See, there it is again. Other things that came up, J.D. Vance talked about censorship being the greatest threat to democracy. JustTheNews.com's got a story on that this morning. Daily, they've also got a story, no breakouts in polite VP debate. As Walz calls himself a knucklehead, Vance spars with the moderators. And we'll get into that and we'll get your thoughts. And so, according to a CBS News poll, 42% of debate watchers say Vance won. 41% also say that Tim Walz won. So 42% say Vance won in the CBS News poll. 41% say that Walz won. Hardly a surprise. And they in that polling, they more heavily sampled Democrats. So the moderators are getting taken to task online. So Donald Trump, let's enter Donald Trump here. Donald Trump on True Social said JD crushed it. Walz was a low IQ disaster, very much like Kamala. Our country would never be able to recover from an administration of these two. Can you imagine them representing us with sharp, fierce foreign leaders? I can't, Trump says. And then Trump also shared a photo. He was reacting to one of Tim Walz's family members. Trump says, laughing my ass off, one of Tim Walz's family members is at a J.D. Vance watch party tonight cheering for J.D. and Team Trump. And he's wearing a t-shirt, Walz for Trump. Trump also on True Social yesterday talked about the federal abortion ban, and he said, everyone knows I would not support a federal abortion ban under any circumstances and would, in fact, veto it because it's up to the states to decide based on the will of their voters and the will of the people. Like Ronald Reagan before me, I fully support the 3 exceptions for rape, incest, and the life of the mother. I do not support the Democrats' radical position of, he went on to say in his post on True Social, this has been a big story, but here's Trump once again saying, I would not support a federal abortion ban. The other, there are a few other big stories this morning. The port strike and what's happening there. And Politico's got a piece this morning saying the president will not step in to stop the dock worker strike. So just after midnight yesterday, thousands of dock workers from New England to Texas, these are dock workers represented by the International Longshoremen's Association, took to the picket lines. So the White House yesterday doubled down on its stance that it will not force striking dock workers back on the job. Many are thinking that the president needs to do that, that he needs to force these the strikers back to work. And you've got the Teamsters, the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, saying to the administration that they need to stay the F out of this. Sean O'Brien said the U.S. government should stay the blank out of this fight and allow union workers to withhold their labor for the wages and benefits that they've earned. So there are others who are saying, yeah, it's time for the president to step in, given the... So again, what have we learned here, boys and girls? Donald Trump is just chaos and disaster. And look at this administration. Look what's going on with the border. Look what's going on with this. And the president now refusing to step in. It's just absolutely incredible. Also, there are a couple of deaths this morning that are trending, and I'll get to these in more detail coming up, but actor John Amos has died at the age of 84, and his family is paying tribute to him. He actually died in August, but we're just learning about it now. And for those of you who are fans of American Pickers, Frank Fritz, one of the co-hosts, has died at the age of 60. longtime host of American Pickers. So I'll have more details on those stories for you coming up this morning in Belf's News Gallery just ahead. This hour of the Greg Belfrage Show brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month. In Sioux Falls at 626, clear skies and 52. You're listening to the Greg Belfrage Show on Kello.
Weekend 6 to 9 p.m. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Kello Hotline is brought to you by Tires. See in-store details about hundreds of units from major tire manufacturers. 2 Sioux Falls locations to serve you.
A spectacular showpiece, a fantastic symphony. Experience the mesmerizing vision of Hector Berlioz. The South Dakota Symphony and Delta David Geyer perform the Symphonie Fantastique, Hector Berlioz's vivid masterpiece, and Rachel Barton Pines performs violin showpieces, The Carmen Fantasy, and music by Wynton Marsalis. Sponsored by First Premier Bank and Premier Bangkok. Tickets start at $19. Call 605-731-2440 or visit sdsymphony.org. This Saturday at 7:30 at the Washington Pavilion, the Symphonie Fantastique, as the South Dakota Symphony's new season begins.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
Slow it down, get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Are you a creative thinker with a passion for radio? We're looking for a part-time producer to join the Greg Belfrage Show team. I'll rely on you to screen phone calls and help me get the best out of our callers. Candidates need some digital skills. This is a 25-hour-a-week part-time position. Send your resume to kellojobs@mwcradio.com or mail it to KELO AM, 500 South Phillips Avenue, Sioux Falls, South Dakota 57104. Midwest Communications is an equal opportunity employer by choice.
Plenty of sunshine for today. High temperature of 83. Southwest winds 15 to 25 miles per hour. We'll have clear skies this evening with decrease in wind speeds tonight. We'll fall to 48 for a low. Partly cloudy and cooler tomorrow. High of 73. Northeast winds at 10 to 20. Sunshine for this weekend. Temperatures in the 70s and 80s. From the Storm Center, I'm Scott Line.
And in Sioux Falls at 629, clear skies and 52 currently at Kello. Joe Bowman is in the Kello.com News Center. Coming up, city officials released the annual crime report yesterday. Also, the South Dakota Secretary of State talking about security in South Dakota's elections. So Joe will have details on those stories coming up for you here in just a few moments. Fox News Radio on the way. Hey, let's open up the phone lines and give you a chance to win a $10 gift card from my friends at 49th Street Liquor. If you haven't had a chance to try it yet, this is your chance. Be caller number 7 right now at 605-336-1320. Caller number 7, and you'll win a $10 gift card from 49th Street Liquor at 49th and Minnesota.
During their debate last night, hosted by CBS News, Vice President Harris's running mate, President Walz, had a point-blank question for former President Trump's running mate, Senator J.D. Vance.
Good morning, Keller Radio. Your caller 1. Thanks.
He is still
Good morning, Keller Radio. You're caller 2. Thanks. Good morning, Keller Radio. You're caller 3. Thanks. Good morning, Keller Radio. You're caller 4. Thanks. Good morning, Keller Radio. You're caller 5. Thanks. Good morning, Keller Radio. You're caller number 6. Thanks. Good morning, Keller Radio. Who is this? Linda, congratulations. You're my winner this morning. Thank you so much for listening. Yeah, it is awesome. Thank you so much. Let me get your last name.
While you sleep.
Kello News Time, 6:31. I'm Joe Bowman in the Kello.com
I'm-
News Center. As the city
Okay.
of Sioux Falls grows, well, the number of crimes grows with it. City
Would you spell that last name for me one more time? I'm
Okay.
sorry. Just got too much noise here. Got it. Perfect. And your phone number is all I need, Linda. Three 359. I'm so slow. Oh man, Linda, congratulations! All you will need to do is stop down at our Kello studio anytime. If you will stop, if you stop down today, please stop down after 11 o'clock this morning. But otherwise, you can just stop down anytime during regular business hours, and it'll be right at our front desk for you, and we'll hold it for 30 days. So there's no rush to get down here. Yes, we're right across the street from Kello TV. We're in a separate building. It's the Midwest Radio building. You'll see the Kello AM call letters and all of our sister stations out front. Well, thanks so much for listening. I really appreciate it. Take care.
A pair of shoes, as well as a Hope tote, which included a pair of socks and an inspirational message. And Rascal Flatts has announced their Life is a Highway U.S. tour, and they're coming to Sioux Falls. The group will perform at the Denny Sanford Premier Center on February 27th next year. Tickets go on sale this Friday. From the Kello.com News Center, I'm Joe Bowman.
The news never stops. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Plenty of sunshine for today. High temperature of 83, a little breezy. Southwest winds 15 to 25 miles per hour. Clear skies this evening and tonight. As winds die down, will fall to 48 for a low. Partly cloudy skies for tomorrow. High temperature at 73. Northeast winds of 10 to 20. From Kettleland, live Doppler HD Storm Center, I'm Scott One.
Free home delivery 24 hours a day. We deliver the news to you at home, at work, in your car, wherever you go. Kello News Talk 1320 107.9.
Not long ago, everyone was setting up an account at 23andMe. If you gave them your DNA, here's why you need to delete your account today. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. Download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning for free at netsuite.com/Kim. When 23andMe went public 4 years ago, it was valued at more than $6 billion. How quickly a company can destroy itself. Without its customer permission, 23andMe was quietly handing out DNA samples to law enforcement. And then 7 million customers' DNA, birth dates, family heritage, photos, and even home addresses were stolen and sold on the dark web. The lawsuits were swift. Settlement.
There really are not many stories that are trending this morning, I think, in part because there are so many stories trending about the vice presidential debate last night.
To the highest bidder. So delete your account today. Enter to win a brand new iPhone.
So I'll give you some more takeaways on the
Kim.com. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts and you'll get 10 answers. Rates rising or falling, inflation being up or down. Can someone please invent a crystal ball? Until then, over 40,000 businesses have future-proofed their business with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud ERP, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backwards and more time on what's next. If I had needed this product, it's exactly what I would use. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to
You
AI.
noticed I'm handling my own contesting this morning. I didn't even think about having the camera on. So we're currently looking for a producer for the Greg Belfrage Show. And if you know anybody who would be interested, please have them get in contact with us. And we're in the process of posting that job. So I can share details to those who need it. But if you know anybody who's free in the early morning hours, looking for a part-time, it's a part-time position, 25 hours a week. Please let us know.
Antelope and elk for processing, and try their famous homemade real beef jerky. Renner Corner Meats in Renner and rennercorner.com.
Big transmission problem or minor repair? It takes an expert to know. Hi, this is Greg Belfrage for the experts of Jim's National Transmission, downtown at 4th and Weber. When having transmission problems, it's always best to go to the specialist. Most auto repair places will simply replace your transmission, costing you 50 to 70% more than if you went to a transmission specialist. Do yourself a favor and save yourself time and money by taking your vehicle to the pros at Jim's Transmission. They know all the ins and outs of automatic transmission diagnosis. Jim's Transmission, the transmission-only specialist, where transmissions are all they do. Check out their website at jimsautotrans.com for coupons and specials. You'll find their phone number there too, jimsautotrans.com. That's jimsautotrans.com. Jim's National Transmission, downtown at 4th and Weber.
Okay, some mornings you might not have that get up and go.
But at least you can get up and know.
The Greg Belfrage Show, with insightful opinions on the latest stories and frequent weather updates. It'll get you in the know while you're getting ready to go. Kelly. News Talk 1320, 107.9, entertaining talk and news when it happens.
638, clear skies and 52 currently at Kello. And I want to congratulate Linda Pudens, who was the winner of that $10 gift card from 49th Street Liquor. Linda, thanks a million for listening. I really appreciate it. We'll have another chance for you to win coming up tomorrow. And then coming up later this morning, we'll have a chance for you to win that gift card from Invictus Pizza. When we take the Kello history quiz, we'll do that a little over an hour from now. I asked folks this morning on Facebook, what did you think of the vice presidential debate last night? Really appreciated the response from Todd. He said, I didn't know much about J.D. Vance, but after last night's debate, he is a true class act. He stayed on cue, stood his ground, when fact-checked, fired right back at the moderators. Honestly, that was the best debate I have seen. Both were pretty respectable to each other, I thought, he said. Todd, thanks so much for your comment. In fact, that's over 88%, I think, of people in the CBS News flash poll afterward, 88% said they appreciated how respectful the debate was and the tone of the debate. So appreciate Todd's comments, number of others who are leaving comments there as well this morning. And we'll talk about it. Open up the phone lines and get your thoughts on last night's vice presidential debate coming up after 7 this morning.
Now,
Add them on Facebook.
let the tweeting begin. The hashtag does that. News and views from Belf's News Gallery.
Well, the big story is last night's vice presidential debate. And Reuters has got a piece, and these were their takeaways. And first was the brawl that wasn't. And they said the debate was expected to be an ugly one, but it wasn't. Vance's advisors had said the senator was going to tear into Walz for misrepresenting his military record, letting Minneapolis burn. Instead, the candidates engaged in mostly cordial exchanges, a surprising change in tone after the showdown between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump 3 weeks ago. One of their other takeaways, they've headlined it MAGA Smoothie. The Vance on stage was the one the Trump campaign had in mind when Trump selected him. And that he could serve as an articulate and rational voice for Trump's Make America Great Again movement. So they say that Vance largely kept his message positive while taking every opportunity to advocate for Trump. They said, to the extent the debate grew heated at all, it was at the very end, when most Americans likely had switched away from the face-off or had gone to sleep. Walz demanded that Vance, that's funny, gone to sleep. I was asleep before the debate even began. Walz demanded that Vance agree to abide by the results of the election and commit to a peaceful transfer of power. And he asked Vance about whether Trump had lost the 2020 election. Vance says, Tim, I'm focused on the future. Walz, that is a damning non-answer. Trying to see if there were any other, big takeaways that I've not yet shared this morning. Vance, again, now this is Reuters reporting. Vance attempted to deliver a compassionate conservative message on abortion, beat back perceptions that the Republican ticket's hardline stance on reproductive rights could cost them votes. So, a lot of stories that are trending this morning surrounding last night's vice presidential debate. So let's take a look at what else is going on. Tim Walz claiming that he was in Hong Kong during the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre, all while he was actually home safe in Nebraska. And there are a number of stories out there that this is why this is trending, including New York Times. This is the New York Times. Tim Walz said he was in Hong Kong in 1989 during Tiananmen. Not true. The headline of a story at the New York Times. Number of other stories. New York Post. Tim Walz falsely claimed he was in Hong Kong during the 1989 Tiananmen Square massacre. He was asked about that last night during the debate. And there are a number of other stories. JustTheNews.com has got a story on it this morning. Also, President Joe Biden apparently will not invoke Taft-Hartley to stop this port strike that the Washington Examiner says could cost $5 billion a day. So these are unionized dock workers on the East and Gulf Coast. Walked off the job yesterday, and the president on Sunday said he would not get involved. He said it's collective bargaining. I don't believe in Taft-Hartley. And that was repeated then at the Ministry of Truth. Karine Jean-Pierre said, I know there's a question about Taft-Hartley. We have never invoked the Taft-Hartley to break a strike. are not considering to do so now. So the president saying he will not intervene to stop this strike. And a lot of reaction to that. And then you've got unions that are telling the Biden administration to stay the F out of it. So I think it's worthy of conversation as to whether or not the president should intervene. Donald Trump told Fox News Digital that this strike is a result of the massive inflation that was created by the Biden-Harris administration, he said. And everybody understands the dock workers because they were decimated by this inflation, just like everybody else in our country and beyond, Trump said. So Donald Trump also reacting to that, and there's just a lot of stories surrounding the port workers and the strike, and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce urged the president in a letter to invoke Taft-Hartley to protect our economy. The president, in a statement, said, collective bargaining is the best way for workers to get the pay and benefits they deserve. So he said, I've urged the union to come to the table and present a fair offer to the workers of the international, this is a group of foreign-owned carriers. The president saying he's urging them to come to the table and present a fair offer to the workers of the International Longshoremen's Association that ensures they are paid appropriately in line with their invaluable contributions. So dock workers are also striking over fears of automation, taking their jobs away. The death toll from Hurricane Helene has risen to 135 now. 135. So Hurricane Helene ranks among the deadliest storms that hit the U.S. 135 deaths across 6 states. I mentioned this yesterday that Donald Trump launched a GoFundMe for Hurricane Helene victims that has now raised over $2 million. And I expected that would not be far away because as of yesterday morning, it was at 1.65 million that had been raised. So now it's over 2 million. Also trending this morning, actor John Amos has died. He actually died in August. We're just learning about it. That story trending this morning. John Amos was best known for his role as Kunta Kinte in Roots. He went on, however, to have a number of roles. He played James Evans in the first 3 seasons of Good Times on CBS back in the 1970s. Also played Gordy the Weatherman on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. He went on, he was in over 200 TV shows and films, including The West Wing, Coming to America, and Me Time. So again, we're just learning of the death of John Amos. He died August 21st in Los Angeles. His family saying it was from natural causes. He was 84 years old, and his family saying he was, I think it was his son, Chris, said in a statement. He said, it's with heartfelt sadness that I share with you that my father has transitioned. He said he was a man with the kindest heart and a heart of gold, and he was loved the world over. Many fans consider him their TV father. He lived a good life. His legacy will live on in his outstanding works in television and film as an actor. Also trending this morning, we're learning of the death of Frank Fritz. For those of you who are been fans of American Pickers, Frank Fritz, longtime host of that program, he was only 60 years old. And the news was announced on social media by his co-host Mike Wolf. They had appeared together on the History Channel for 10 years, hundreds of episodes. The series followed Fritz and Wolf. They were touring the country and, in search of antiques and what they could find and so on. I always thought American Pickers was a great show. So Wolf said, "It's with a broken heart that I share with all of you that Frank passed away last night. I've known Frank for more than half my life, and what you've seen on TV has always been what I've seen. A dreamer who was just as sensitive as he was funny. The same off camera as he was on. Frank had a way of reaching the hearts of so many by just being himself." He said, "Who would have ever dreamed we would share the cockpit of a white cargo van in front of millions of people interested in our adventures? Before the show, we would take off together to places we never knew existed, with no destination in mind and just the shared passion to discover something interesting and historic." So Frank Fritz has died at the age of 60. Also trending this morning, in his first public statement since he was released from prison back in June, Julian Assange yesterday urged European lawmakers to take action to protect journalists from being prosecuted for reporting, for their reporting work. And he said his case is directly tied to self-censorship, the chilling of freedom of the press, he was saying. So he was speaking at the Council of Europe, warned the current legal protections for journalists and whistleblowers were not effective in any remotely reasonable time, he said. 14 years he spent in prison or confined. And he said, "I want to be totally clear. I am not free today because the system worked. I am free today because after years of incarceration, I pled guilty to journalism. I pled guilty to seeking information from a source," he says. Also, Sean Diddy Combs may be facing new allegations from over 100 men and women who have obtained legal representation and plan to file civil lawsuits against Combs. So there was a news conference yesterday, and the Busby Law Firm, along with another group, have been retained by at least 120 people to pursue cases in civil court against Combs, both men and women. And they're claiming to have been victimized by Combs. So he's got a lot of troubles at the moment. Also trending this morning, U.S. job openings rose in August to a 3-month high. So that's exceeding forecasts. Available positions increased to 8.04 million from 7.71 million in July. It was led by construction openings, biggest openings, in fact, in construction since 2009. That's coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, job openings. Also, a top advisor to New York City Mayor Adams has resigned. Tim Pearson, who has for months faced various legal issues, resigning his position since the mayor now has been indicted on federal corruption charges. And so in a letter sent to the mayor late on Monday, Pearson wrote he'll officially leave the Adams administration October 4th to focus on family, self-care, and new endeavors, he said. Also, ICE is confirming that hundreds of thousands of migrants have received criminal convictions. In fact, this is data from ICE, shows that more than 13,000 undocumented immigrants with murder convictions have been apprehended and released into the U.S. ICE is currently tracking over 425,000 migrants who have criminal convictions but are not in federal custody. That story is just jaw-dropping. And that's a look at the stories trending this morning in Belf's News Gallery. Thanks so much for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. I very much appreciate it. Currently, we've got clear skies, 52 this hour, brought to you by the Window Shop of Mitchell, offering custom windows starting at $99 a month.
Buyer needs to know. Callow.
Thank you so much, my friend, for starting your day with the Greg Belfrage Show. It's great to have you here. Hope you'll join me for the fourth hour coming up this morning at 9:30 on YouTube and Facebook. So long until then. Take care, my friend.